The Put Me in Coach podcast. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back.
How are we? It's been 2 weeks.
Sorry to our handful of subscribers that were checking for us. My man moved. He's now, Detroit man is now Florida man. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. It's been
Yeah.
lovely down here. I don't know what took me so long. This guy's in California calling me every day saying, hey, the sun every day is greater than 6 to 8 months of winter. And for many years I said, you're probably right. So eventually I had to just get with the picture and get my family out of Metro Detroit. I felt it. I read a couple articles and I was like, ooh, this winter's coming like this year. They said worse in like a decade. I said, oh yeah, we get out of here.
Yeah, no more. And I'm happy for it. What's really going to suck is when it wears off and you start to notice the seasons like within Florida, and then you're like, oh crap, like there is winter, but it's like doesn't exist. But then you adjust so much that you like notice it, like the shorter days and the chilly. But yeah, man, that's really dope. Actually, funny enough, if we could, I want to start in Florida, in your neck of the woods, a little bit north of where you are. You're a Tampa man, but Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to talk about this team because, look, I think through 4 games, we have enough data on some of these teams to start revisiting our offseason takes just a little bit, right? And we'll do this periodically. Like we'll do it mid-season, we'll do it 3/4 of the way, and then we'll do it kind of going into the playoffs of like,
where
all right,
Coen was right.
Yeah, right. Let's take a look at where we were right and
was wrong.
Yeah, where Colin was wrong. Aaron Rodgers, he's really good still. Yeah, but I pounded the desk a lot this offseason, and it felt a little. I think a lot of people, I know Jags fans did find our Jacksonville video and like mess with us, but I could tell some people were kind of like, all right, dude, like they're not going to be good, And look, there was a reason why I hammered this point so much when we talked about the Jaguars this offseason. The coaching changes everything, man. Coaching changes everything. And Doug Peterson was checked out. He was golfing. He was rolling his eyes. He was sighing at press conferences. He lost the locker room last year. It was clear as day.
I agree.
And there were a lot of pieces on this team that I really liked coming into last year. And I just missed. Like, the team won 4 games. They flamed out completely. They ended up with a super high draft pick, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I spoke so much this offseason about this division being wide open. And you talked a lot about the Colts. I talked a lot about the Jaguars. Ultimately, both teams look really good. We talked about Tennessee needing to fire Brian Callahan. Point still stands. We talked about the Houston Texans having the worst offensive line in football, not being able to get it done. Point still stands. So the thing about Jacksonville is, man, the way that I expected it to look has not come to fruition. But what it does look like is really, really remarkable. They should be 4-0. They're 3-1. The one game they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals was on a really weird, like, last kind of chunk of the fourth quarter where they had all these drops. And offensively, they do lead the league in drop catches right now, which I think is one of the main issues I'm having offensively.
Let me stop you just for 2 seconds because I'm starting to feel like this is a Trevor Lawrence problem. I think for the last couple of years, I'm like, dang, these receivers just keep dropping things. But it's now we're on like year 3 of like the 2-minute compilations of guys dropping passes, and I'm just like, is Trevor just have no touch on the ball? Matt Stafford was kind of like that remember when Eric Ebron like could not get it done in Detroit, and then he went to the Colts and Andrew Luck just had a little more touch on the ball, and he was like an all-pro or Pro Bowl tight end that year and had like 12 touchdowns, and we were all like, why couldn't he do that here? And it's like, I think Stafford hadn't figured out his touch just quite yet. He was just zipping it in there. And I'm starting to think that's the Trevor Lawrence problem now too, where he's just throwing the ball like a little too hard, and it's just bouncing off of guys' hands. Because this is getting, I'm noticing a pattern. There's only one constant,
Totally. I mean, it just doesn't look fluid. And the interesting thing is, I've been saying kind of, I've told you this privately, like, I wonder what happened with like the Monstars stealing Brian Thomas Jr.'s. And it might have just been everybody, right? Like Marv has looked shaky a lot this year. Malik Neighbors is dead now. Brian Thomas, just like Vlad McConkey looks horrible. Like all of these sophomore wide receivers, they need the secret stuff, man. They really, really need the secret stuff. I don't know. Somebody call Michael Jordan, call Nike, get these men some water bottles. Like we got to get this going again.
Quentin Johnson actually took it from everybody.
Yeah,
If he's like the best
yeah.
receiver in the
Quentin
league now.
Johnston with the career resurrection, one of the worst wide
Johnson actually
receivers
took
I've seen
all
play the
of
game.
their
Is
he
just
took all of their powers and he put it into himself. Shout
yeah,
out TJ. We never
yeah,
doubted.
and offensively, it's the 16th ranked offense, so they're right in the league middle.
Yeah.
They do lead the league in drops, as we just discussed, but the running game is really, 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 really good. And I guess Travis Etienne was just banged up last year, and that's kind of the end of that story. We all kind of wrote him off. Look, they're sixth in the NFL in yards per carry right now, third in rushing offense. Like, this is one of the best running attacks in the entire NFL. And when they traded away Tank Bigsby a couple weeks ago now, I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
I think they saw what they had in the building with Travis Etienne playing healthy and Bashal Tutin, that kid from Virginia Tech they drafted that they really liked. They're getting it done. And, I think I'll talk about Travis Hunter in a second, because I think that was one that, like, you really nailed that so far. I kind of have some egg on my face, and I'll own it in a second. But the thing about this offense, and I think you're right about Trevor, like, not looking that fluid, like looking choppy, like overthrowing, just too much zip. He doesn't have that sauce, that touch that I'd like to see, consistently enough for me.
Yeah.
There's time for that to change. You just got to get comfortable. The O-line's blocking, right? 2 games in a row, no sacks given up. But look, bro, this defense has forced 13 turnovers in 4 games. They're
The defense
fourth.
is nice.
They're fourth against the run in the NFL, and they are the 4th overall ranked total defense so far through 4 weeks. If they can win like this, running the ball this effectively, and playing defense at this level. Now, Trayvon Walker's got to get back and get healthy. I think they avoided like a serious injury with the wrist thing, but Devin Lloyd's playing amazing. Like, we haven't even seen Josh Allen Hines Allen take off. Our boyfriend of the show, Jordan Lewis at nickel, is playing really well.
Michigan man.
Yeah, I mean, even Travis Hunter, who, I do want to talk about here in a second, is getting some really good reps at DB. Like, it's not been consistently awesome, but it is there. I hate to say it, but I told you so. I told you guys this team was going to be this much better. And look, they won 4 games last year. They've won 3 already. Like, it's on, man. It's on. So I think it was worth touching on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like we were the only 2 really beating the drum, and I feel like, frankly, we've been the only 2 beating the drum for the last few years. And we ended up with egg on our face last year, but the core was there, right? I do think that once we reevaluated at the end of last season and the beginning of this season and kind of realized, okay, I think the coach was actually checked out, which appears to be the truth, right? I mean, you bring some young energy, you bring some juice into the locker room, and they're looking like that team they were 2 years ago. And I don't even think the offense has reached its like full potential. I think the defense is carrying, which we haven't really seen since this team was really good back in like 17. You know what I mean? Like, this was a very defensive oriented team for many years, the Jalen Ramsey years. And now you're seeing, a bit of what we'd kind of hoped coming off of that awesome playoff win against the Chargers a few years ago. And then that kind of head to head battle with the Chiefs, who obviously went on to win the Super Bowl that year. It's not, I think it's important to remember that the NFL is not always linear, right? Like, sometimes you take steps back, sometimes you take step forward. It's this is just the brutal game that we love. And last year was such a step back that you're like, all right, what is going on here? Because this is, everybody's writing off Trevor Lawrence, which a thing that you and I have been pretty consistent on, not selling our Trevor stock. We've always believed that he has the talent, and we can go back to what we've talked about before, which was that playoff game, and then the year after, starting that season, 9-2 or whatever it was. First in the AFC, and then he gets hurt, and it, for a good calendar year, he didn't look right, and I'm not sure he even looks like completely there yet. But I think if they keep leaning on the run game, I think if this defense keeps playing like they're playing, and he can figure it out with these receivers, man, this is going to be a dangerous team moving forward. I like their coach. I like the young GM. I like the everything they have going right now. It's hard not to be excited about this team moving forward. They kind of have it all they need. I think they really need a franchise left tackle. I think that would really be the final puzzle piece to this team being maybe not like Super Bowl contenders, but like a problem. You know what I mean? Defensively, like you just touched on, I think they look so much better. They look so much more fluid. They look like They just look like Doug Peterson left the place and they're like, okay, we can party again. That guy was bringing us down.
Yeah, I mean, and penalties are hurting the offense too, and I
Yes.
think that this stuff will get cleaned up. But before we get out of here, there is one component of this I did want to address with the Travis Hunter thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am just in a wait and see point. I think
That's
you were.
the only place you should be. That's the only.
Yeah,
place
I think you were. I think you were a lot more skeptical than I was. I kind of bought into the talent, but I think for me too, the other thing that I really bought into was, look, they traded next year's first round pick to move up and select this guy.
Yes, they did.
And, just to address like the freakishly athletic, wiry elephant in the room, I just kind of assumed, I think wrongfully as of now, that this front office and coaching staff was really, really clear about exactly what the hell they were doing when they made that move and how this was going to look. And I'll just be honest, from my perspective, I saw the offensive capabilities at receiver. Now, he has made some nice catches, but he's not a big part of this offense right now, and he's not really a huge part of this defense either. And I think that's where maybe I have some questions about James Gladstone's decision to do that and the way they're rolling him out of kind of they're like in a wait and see thing. It's like a project right now, and it's kind of like, I'm surprised that you guys took this dude number 2 overall with this. And that's where I just had the disconnect, right? Like in my mind, I went, there's just no way you're taking this guy at number 2 unless you know what the F you're doing with this dude. And frankly, for me, it was just, I think they're going to use him in a ton of ways offensively, and he's going to be a huge part of this offense. So that was my belief, because I do think the talent is there, and I don't feel any differently about that. But it is kind of funny. It's like, wait, do you guys not know like how you're going to use this guy yet? And they're like, no, we don't know yet. And it's like, that's crazy. Like, why not just draft Mason Graham at that point then? Like, it's kind of wild. Yeah. Figuring it out still, right?
I think where I come away with Travis Hunter is kind of exactly what I had said initially, which is like, you have to pick a side of the ball. This is not going to work in the NFL. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not going to work. You have to either play all DB or you have to play all wide receiver, because you have to think about, like, this isn't, college is a lot easier, right? When you have, your coach is basically this father figure who's like hyped you up. You can kind of go out there. You're playing in a lower B, high C tier division, right? Or conference, if you will.
And it's a very finesse style of football in that
it
conference
is,
right? It's not the Big Ten.
But when you get to the NFL, you're in, and again, this was something that people had talked about initially with him, which was, hey, you have to go to DB meetings, you have to go to wide receiver meetings. Like these two, like a lot of the times you hear guys talking about the intricacies of the daily life of an NFL player. Like the defense and offensive guys don't really like mesh a ton, right? Like they have their side of the practice field, they have their side of the building even. So I just don't see how that works. I don't know how that, and I think I said it in our AFC predictions, which is like, I don't know how that really comes across to a guy like Jordan Lewis, who, is on his second team now. He's playing really good ball, but does he play that good a ball if they just decide to throw Travis Hunter in there and say, okay, hey, sorry, he's been working with the wide receivers all week, but he gets to take your spot now. We're going to put him at nickel, right? It's like, no, screw that. I've earned this. I've been in these meetings all week. I know the defense better than he knows the defense, And the same goes with like a Tim Patrick on the other side. Like, hey, I've been in these wide receiver meetings all week. I know the offense better than he knows the offense. Like, he's been over with the DBs for half the time. This is kind of bogus. Like, I'm playing for my money. I'm playing for my family. I'm paying for my position. So why does this guy get to do half of the work, but then come in and get more reps? That's bogus.
Yeah, they got it. Look, man, they got to figure it out. And I think they will. I think Brian's got to figure it. BTJ's got to figure it out. And I think Trevor needs to relax. I'm seeing a lot of, what I think it is too? I think, and I'll let you go on this. I think it's a lot of PTSD in the pocket with Trevor, because he's had such bad O-line play. Yeah. I'm noticing that like in clean pockets, he's still like moving his feet in a weird way, where it's like he's not comfortable just stepping up and throwing. Like he's expecting a hit all the time. And it's an interesting thing to watch. But yeah, man, shout out the Jaguars. 3-1 is awesome. I think they have a huge test against the Chiefs this weekend. I don't know that I'd pick them to win that game, but either way, it's like it's going in the right direction.
It'll be an interesting one, though. I do think it'll be a very
it's a measuring stick.
Fun game to watch. Yeah.
Yep. All right. See ya.
Peace.